Have you ever had that feeling you're talking to someone and you just know there's a whole other conversation happening right underneath the words they're actually saying? Well, guess what? You're right. Today, we're going to learn how to actually hear that hidden conversation. It's going to give you a seriously powerful new way to understand the people in your life. I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask a friend, "Hey, how are you doing?" And they hit you with the classic, "I'm fine." But something in their voice it makes you stop. It sounds off. That little gap between what they said and what you felt, that's exactly what we're going to decode today. What is their voice really trying to tell you? You see, every single time we speak, we're basically having two conversations at the same time. There are the words, sure, but then there's that hidden conversation that's carried entirely in our voice. And no, this isn't about becoming a mind reader. It's about learning a skill, the skill of hearing the emotions that are packed into every single sentence. Just think of it like this. Words are the what. They give you the data. But the voice is the how. It tells you the story behind the data. And the best part is, understanding the how isn't some superpower you're born with. It's a skill, and it really all comes down to spotting changes in 5 key areas of the voice. Okay, so let's get into it. These are the 5 decoding keys you absolutely need. Think of it as your new toolkit for emotional listening. Once you learn to listen for these, you'll start unlocking the real meaning behind what people are trying to say. Let's break them down, one by one. First up, volume. Now, this one seems obvious, but it's tricky. A sudden jump in volume could mean excitement for sure, but it could also be a red flag for defensiveness. You know, like when someone's voice gets louder when you question their story? On the flip side, if their voice suddenly gets quieter, you might be hearing disappointment or maybe just pure exhaustion. It's all about noticing that shift from their normal speaking volume. Next, let's talk about pace. Someone who's talking a mile a minute isn't just in a rush. That speed can be a really clear sign of stress, or maybe even excitement. But what about a really slow pace? That could suggest they're not too confident about what they're saying, or maybe that they're choosing their words very, very carefully. All right, now for pitch. Oh man, this one is so revealing. You know that thing where someone makes a statement but their voice goes up at the end so it sounds like a question? That rising pitch, it's often a dead giveaway for a lack of confidence. But a firm, low, steady pitch that doesn't waver, that just screams control and self-assurance. Okay, what about when people don't talk? Let's talk about pauses. A little pause after you ask a question, that's totally normal. It probably just means they're thinking. But a pause right in the middle of their own sentence? Now that can point to some kind of internal conflict, like they're struggling with what to say next. And finally, the engine that powers the whole thing. Breathing. A quick, shallow breath right before someone answers a tough question, that is a classic textbook sign of stress kicking in. In contrast, think about slow, full, deep breaths. That's the sound of someone who's calm and in control. It's literally the sound of anxiety versus composure. So, you've got the 5 keys. Awesome. But now you're probably wondering, how do I actually get good at using these? Because this isn't just some cool theory. It's a real skill you can build, and it just takes a little bit of focused practice every day. And it's actually pretty simple. Here's a little daily plan for you. First, something I call clean hearing. Put on a podcast and just listen. Don't worry about the words, just focus on the vocal cues. Second, live conversation. In your regular chats, just try to notice one single moment where someone's tone changed. And third, mirror training. This one's fun. Pick a sentence and say it to yourself in the mirror with different emotions. Feel how it changes in your own voice. Now, before you go off and start analyzing every single conversation, we have to talk about something really important. We have to talk about the limits of this skill. Because this is a tool for empathy, you guys, not for interrogation. So let's bust a few really common myths. This is the big one. The idea that by listening closely, you can suddenly become a human lie detector. You know, that if someone's voice cracks or they start talking fast, they have to be lying. So let's be crystal clear. There is no single vocal cue that means lying. It just doesn't exist. What you can detect is a shift in their emotional state, like they're feeling stressed or anxious. But here's the key. You can't know the reason for that stress. They could be nervous for a million reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with being dishonest. All right, here's another one you hear all the time. The idea that a fast talker is trying to pull a fast one on you, just trying to overwhelm you with a flood of words. But in reality, a fast pace just means the emotional engine is revving high. Sure, it could be anxiety, but it could just as easily be passion or pure excitement.
It really has nothing to do with whether or not you can trust them.
And finally, let's tackle this myth about volume. We tend to think that a quiet, measured voice means confidence, and a loud voice means they're losing control or getting nervous. But think about it. True assertiveness often comes with a strong, stable, and yes, even loud voice. It's not about yelling. It's about projecting confidence and conviction. A powerful voice isn't a sign of stress. A lot of the time, it's a sign of total self-assurance. So learning to decode the voice is an amazing tool. It can help you connect with people on a much deeper, more meaningful level. But it does leave us with a bigger question, doesn't it? Once you can hear that someone is feeling anxious or excited or hesitant, what do you do next? How do you even begin to understand the motive that's driving that emotion? Now that is something to think about.